Patria y vida, viva Cuba libre, no tenemos miedo. Homeland and life, long live free Cuba. We are not afraid. Those are just some of the chants that Cubans living within Cuba and the diaspora are yelling at protests. Please take a look at this video. What you just saw are the cries for a new Cuba, a free and democratic Cuba, a Cuba free from communism. Recall that Cuba has been a communist country for about 60 years. Life is very hard in Cuba, with rampant poverty, the poorest of any Latin American nation, and where the government controls nearly every faction of life. From electricity to the internet, the government is in charge. And by the government, I mean the one party which is allowed to exist, the Communist Party of Cuba, headed by dictator Raul Castro. So why are Cubans protesting for freedom now? Has the greed and corruption of officials reached a tipping point? What is the response from the diaspora in Canada? And just what will it take to restore democracy to Cuba? Well, joining me now is Michael Lima, founder of Democratic Space and the Canadian representative for the Council for Democratic Transition in Cuba. Thank you, Michael, for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tanya.
So obviously, we've just seen some footage of protests in every corner in Cuba. Why are Cubans protesting?
Well, Cubans are protesting because they realize that the only way forward is to change the political system with free elections and to have freedom and democracy. Even though Cubans have numerous needs, they have scarcity of food, medication, even though professionals make very little because of the political system, and they are forced, you see doctors, engineers, to working in tourism. So there's a conjunction of frustration from all across sectors of society. Artists are tired of censorship, right on the Constitution, intellectuals, journalists, professionals. So they are aware that the only way forward in Cuba is to change the entire system, to get rid of the communist system through free democratic election and to move forward towards democracy. That's why, Tanya, you would see in the protests that people are chanting freedom and democracy, not just medicine or because they're living under scarcity. They realize that's the root of the system. Right. That's the root cause of all issues in Cuba.
So to help educate our viewers, because not all of us are up to date on the state of affairs in Cuba, and some of us may know very little. Could you give me a bit of a snapshot as to what life is like in Cuba and what happened when the communists took power and what has life been like since?
In Cuba right now, there is a group of people that might receive remittances from their families abroad. They might have better living conditions than the rest, but it's pretty difficult. People make average about $80, $85 per month, and the inflation is pretty high. So there is poverty, you have censorship, you have repression in Cuba. Say, for example, now with the reordering task of the Cuban regime, the so-called reordenamiento or reordering, most of the social programs that existed before have been eliminated. So people's access to public eateries, for example, old people or people with social needs, that's the prices for those places have gone higher. There is no way for you to have your own business. In Cuba, you have people that are self-employed. They cannot own their business. You have a political system that censors artists, that doesn't allow free expression. The cost of living is very high. For example, in comparison, like a kilogram of chicken or meat is more expensive in Cuba than, say, in Mexico City, Spain, or Miami.